Okay, everyone. It appears that the Open Science Framework has made some updates since I last was online, and so things aren't necessarily as intuitive or as straightforward as previously. So what we're going to do now is go through things here again. And so the first thing you need to do is go to the Open Science Framework, osf.io, and sign up. I've already signed up previously, and so my information is saved. I'm signing in. And let's go through and create one together. So create a new project, and I'm going to go with the blue zones, a scoping review. And so create project there. Now let's go to project. And so here we are. I'll make it either, I think you can leave it either way, but I'm going to go ahead and make it public. And then what we want to do is edit different sections here. And so let me go over to metadata first, and let's explore different things. So we've got the title there. I can edit it. Description. So let me put things on pause here just a moment. Okay, so I put in a description here. So you want to put in just a brief little description about your study. And again, for most of you doing scoping reviews, OSF will be your source that you do your scoping review registration. Prospero would be for those who are doing a systematic review. So I'll save that there. And your description, probably you could cut and paste something from what you've already written previously. Tags, I'm not going to worry about that. There's some things that if I don't have to put something down, I won't. Contributors, this is where you're going to want to put your team members. Funding support information, it's very easy to put none or just leave as is. So no information there. Resource information, what are they asking for here? Okay, so you can read that now. My recommendation after reading through that here is to not enter anything. For subjects, subject area, probably going to be medicine and health sciences. Tags, these could be like keywords if you wanted to put anything in at this time. Project DOI, we want to create one of those because this is something that you will put within your dissertation, as well as any of you submitting your papers at a later time will also need to include that. Let's take a look at the license here. License-wise, this is where we want to probably find the Creative Commons one. And I think we could probably just go with this one here, CC by Attribution 4.0 International. That, I think, from my experience, covers everything. If you have questions, you can take a look here. Basically, what this is all about is it allows other people to, if you publish your paper in an open access type of journal, it allows people to utilize things from your paper. Now, for our scoping review paper, probably nobody's going to be using anything unless you create an original figure or create an original image of some type. Otherwise, no one is going to be really caring about utilizing any of your stuff. All right, so we've got a title there, our license, project DOI. Looks like we've got just about everything covered there. Great. Okay, I've gone back to the overview page And as I've looked at things here, I don't think there is anything special that we need to do here at this time. And so leave all of those things blank. The wiki, the files, preview, the components, and the link projects. Leave those blanked for now as we move through things. Interesting, it's already generated kind of some citation stuff. Not that you'll be using any of these citations at all. At least not at this time. You can utilize like this, either one of these citations here. Probably your journals, if it's an international journal, may use the APA, but if it's a US-based journal, probably using a Chicago or MLA style. There probably are other styles too. Let's go with AMA, and let's see like what would happen here. Yep. Okay. So like if we were going for something that was like the Journal of American Medical Association, which would be like an AMA 1 here, then they give that. This is something that when we talk about methodology and describing your registration within the methodology, you'll utilize the citation from here. Let's take a look at other sections now to see what else, if anything, needs to be done. So here is where we can add contributors to the project. And as you look at things here, in the past, I didn't have to put in education history, things like that for people. But yeah, and I wouldn't worry about doing that at this time. So like, let's say we add a contributor, and so I'll make one up here. How about we'll go with Bluey D. Then you have to put in their email and then add registered contributor, and then they would pop up on the screen there. Again, I don't think you need to go beyond the name of the individual and the email address for that person. Analytics, nothing would be in here at this time unless, well, there shouldn't be anything when you're first starting it up. Add-ons, again, probably something you don't need to do. Linked services, something you don't need to do. Settings, probably you don't need to do anything with that. It looks like it's auto-populated stuff I've written before, and that's great. Okay. Let's now go to registrations. So let's add a registration. Do you have content for registration in an existing OSF project? So yes. So then yes automatically was prepped there. I could click no, but now I need to go back over to yes. And then from here, step 2, I've got the project listed there. If you are doing multiple projects, you could probably click from a drop down. And so there's like a lot of different things that I've had with former DMSc students there. Great. We'll stay with the Blue Zones one. We want OSF pre-registration. And let's take a look at these here. How about, I'm looking for if there was something that was a systematic review. Nope. Let's go with this one, the OSF pre-registration, and let's create a draft. Now, this is where we get into some of the stuff that was in the prior presentation, where you're going to go through and add in things. Because again, what you're attempting to do with these registrations are to illustrate to others that you're working on a project, or to describe to others you're working on a project. Also, it allows you to search OSF to see if other individuals have registered something that they're working on that's similar in nature. All right, so some initial data there. So tags, keywords here, things we could put in could be like blue zones. We could go Nicoya, which is in Costa Rica. It's one of the blue zones. We could put in diet, right? Things like that. You don't have to. So click on next. Now we're going into research questions or hypotheses. And so I'm not going to fill out a lot of these things yet because I haven't got this idea worked out. But what you would do here is you'd put in your research question. And so my research question may be, is the blue zone diet superior to other diets at reducing cardiovascular disease, or improving cardiovascular disease risk factors? So that could be like a simple thing. So things you've already done, you can cut and paste that into there. Foreknowledge of data or evidence. So click through and select the one that is most appropriate. And this is an optional one, so I wouldn't even bother doing it. If anything says optional, wouldn't even bother going through it. Study type design. So here's where you want to put systematic review. And so it's a systematic review, meta-analysis, or other forms of systematic review of existing research, including scoping reviews. And so that's where this one would go. Optional, leave it alone. There's no blinding going on because you're not involved of any of that stuff. Optional, study design, scoping review, more optionals. Sampling, data collection procedures. This is where you can cut and paste what you're going to be doing to search the literature with PubMed, CINAHL, Google Scholar, things like that. There's an optional, so ignore it. Sample size. Basically in here, you can write the minimum number of papers. Maybe you know the number of papers, and so you could put that in there. After performing a search, you identified X number of papers, or you could just say something like, it's to be determined once completing the literature search. Starting and stopping rules. So this could be just a not applicable. Manipulated variables, not applicable. Measured variables, not applicable. Indices, not applicable. So a lot of these things, again, they have them in there because they are useful for randomized controlled trials or different experimental designs. Statistical models here, you could put in a qualitative analysis of a group of papers with the results being presented in a scoping review, something like that. You're not doing the statistics that you would think about if you were doing an experimental study. Transformations not applicable. Data inclusion and exclusion. This is where you'd put in what type of papers could be included and what type of papers would not be included. Missing data, again, not applicable. And then context and additional information. I'll just put not applicable here because all right, so now metadata stuff. So you can see that across the top, I have some areas that are missing information. That's okay. So we'll come through down to the bottom here and okay, it won't let me register yet because I don't have those areas filled out. So what should happen now is once those areas are filled out, then you should be able to hit register and it should be all set. You should be able to see it within, like if you come over to registries, excuse me, where are we at here? Hold on. So click under My OSF, under My Projects. That's where right now I would see the blue zones of scoping review listed there. Great. But is it under registrations? Shouldn't be yet. Nope. It is not there. So when you have finally had a registration completed, it should appear. I wonder if it's under the draft section. Yep, there it is. All right, so hopefully that helps. Hopefully that cleans things up for us. Let me know if you have any questions.